And that's just what things I've done with one finger. So imagine that I'm using all of my being and bringing in all of my imagination. I can start, and then I can, just begin adding variety everywhere. The brain is the largest sex organ of all, and when we know how to use our minds and hook them up to our hearts and our emotions, our brain, our emotion, our bodies, and our spirits, we are unlimited, and we can actually learn. When we learn how to learn, and this is what we teach with all our work, we learn ever more how to be creative. We learn literally that we are a new person in every moment. Why are we new? Because we have new thoughts in every moment. Things happen to us today that are new. We've had new ideas. We have new feelings. We've had new thoughts. We've gone through things. We've grown. We've matured. So is our partner. We are new. And when we allow ourselves to feel, to integrate, to grow, and this work allows a lot of this to happen, we're growing at a rapid rate. And when our partner is growing, then we can come together, and we actually are different. We don't, it's not like we're just the person we met back in 1955 or last week. We're totally different human beings. And so it is possible that the lovemaking does get ever more passionate.
So I'd like to be clear. When you use the example of touching and different angles and different strokes and different parts, are we talking about each of those parts having an excitement aspect to it? Or is it just the fact that it's different that makes it exciting? In other words, it seems to me that we could have variety, an infinite variety in things with pretty much anything. I could, instead of walking to the store one way, I could just take a roundabout way of walking in it. How does that bring in newness to my intimate or passionate feeling with my partner, if it's not necessarily, say, as interesting? Or you see, is it necessarily interesting or exciting or something that we just never discovered before?
Yes. Well, I hear your question, and it's a brilliant question. You see, a lot of people, I'm sure, are asking that very question. And I'm sure they're saying, well, gee, I went out and bought a French maid costume, and that didn't do anything.
Right,
we went and turned on the TV, and that was that.
Exactly.
Right, because just changing the angle of your finger is not what we're talking about necessarily. It may be, I've had someone change the angle of their finger and send me into outer space. And, but just changing the changing the finger may not do a thing. So what are we talking about
Yes,
here?
exactly.
Okay, so let's step back a moment. I'm going to make a major distinction here between beingness and doingness. Okay, so it's very important. It's all important when to understand that what I am teaching is about being on a path. Okay, so, and it's a tantric path, and when we're on the path, we are lined up, we are aligned in our body, heart, mind, and spirit. Okay, and that's a very simple practice that I teach people, and it can be done as easily as taking in one deep breath and imagining that alignment between the heart and the mind. I'm not doing it right now, but I'm saying I teach it. We can go into it if you want. But it's a path of living in alignment. And what happens when we live in alignment is we're living in a place of wholeness. Now, in the everyday world that we live in, it's not the tantric world, in the everyday world where we have to pay our checks and get on the bus and go to work, we've broken everything down so that there's the body is in one category and the mind and the finger and the French maid outfit are in another category. And no, or in another category. And no, if you try and touch someone from that place, it'll feel like that. It isn't going to help, or it'll help once and then it'll be boring, right? You buy a new toy and it's good once, and then that's boring, right? Because it's suffering. It just gets boring. What's exciting is when you feel the full power of someone's vibrancy and aliveness. So what happens is when you integrate the full power of the mind, body, heart, spirit, what happens is this. Can I stand up? Let me just illustrate. Is that you can drop a plumb line all the way down through your genitals, out literally into the earth. And you can also send like a tuning fork all the way through you, right up into heaven. Okay? And as that tuning fork goes up, it goes like up through you, and it brings in your imagination, all of your imagination, so that your imagination is real. So you are that French maid. So we are playing in the level of beingness. So literally, when I come to you as that lover, you know, when you get together with me, it's like, whoa, anything is possible. If I say I'm gonna like bend my finger, you're like, holy cow. Oh my, no, not that. Oh my God, bend her finger. It's like, it could be huge, right? It's like, wow, because you know I'm gonna move heaven and earth and mountains and the sea and everything in the force of this movement, because I have that all inside of me, because I am aligned, because I am touching with all of that energy in every touch. And if I put on a French maid outfit, that's all inside my touch. And it'll just add so much sparkle and wonder and amazement. And you know what? I could just tell you what. In fact, I'll give you a story. Last night I gave my husband an erotic massage. We were both dead tired and we were going to have a date. And we both had had a lot of fun, totally separate days, and we got together and we were just exhausted. And I thought, how am I going to make this fun? I'm exhausted, he's exhausted. I said, I'll tell you what, I'll give you an erotic massage. And he started protesting a little bit, like, I don't know, you know, he was kind of shocked, right? And I'm like, and I kind of talked him into it. I kind of started acting like he had called me up and hired me and I was his masseuse. I'm like, well, what would you like it to be, sir? Would you like it to be, what would be the outcome you'd like from it? And he's kind of like dumbfounded. And I'm saying, well, would you like it to be sensual? Would you like to explore your body? Would you like just some relaxation? He's like dumbfounded, and he's like, well, you know, I guess I'd like it to be, you know, I guess I just like to connect with you. And I'm like, okay, well, that's okay, let's do that. And here, why don't you lie down here, Ivor, and sir, you know, and I said, I've got these beautiful Balinese sarongs here, and of course they're hotel towels, right? And I'm gonna put them over these beautiful candles, of course they're hotel lights, right? And make this room totally beautiful. And of course I gave him a neurotic massage, right, which is very similar to what I normally gave him. And but he was just transported in our Balinese hut. And you know why? Because I'm aligned. It's about the beingness. It has nothing to do with anything else, and I know that. Okay, because it's in here. It's in here. And when you know that, yeah, you change something a quarter of an inch, you change anything, and the world moves.
Wow. Wow. So
it is infinite, and you know that. You're all powerful. Isn't that, wouldn't you want to be that kind of a lover?
Totally.
Sure, who wouldn't? And that's the amazing thing. You can be.
So it's about first connecting to the infinite
Yes.
and feeling that whole connection with your power
Right.
and
Connecting to the infinite, which is your
Wow.
infinite. You are the infinite. Connecting to the infinite, your infinite.